Welcome to The System Works, the lifestyle channel that shows you a practical way to live, the what's in it for you. The System Works. Own it. Welcome to The System Works. I'm your host, Ernest Phillips, and I brought something fun today. It's a Tug Tips. It's a Tug Tips. It's a Tug Tips. All right, so here is the title of our episode. You're not selfish, and I can prove it. All right, so I do recognize that as humans, we are naturally selfish. I realize that. But I also realize that we go overboard in trying to make sure we are not selfish. I have seen this be one of the biggest insults with the greatest impact is telling someone they are selfish. I mean, that cuts to the bone. And we will do so many things to make sure we don't look selfish, but we do things and we feel selfish. So here is the solution. I want you to ask yourself the next time you feel like you are doing something selfish, ask yourself one question. Are you doing it at the expense of someone else? So here's the Tug Tip. Selfish isn't putting your needs first. It's putting your needs first at the expense of others. That last part is what makes something selfish. And it's not that hard to get to in terms of complexity, but if you're doing something and it's at the expense of someone, that's selfish. But if it's not, it's putting you first. So are you a priority? Yes, of course you are. We know you are. Everybody's telling you you are. You may not feel it or you may not think it sometimes, but you are. So back in my 20s, I was very, very, very selfish, okay? I was looking out for me. I had given up on my dreams. I'd given up on my future, and I was depressed. I was living so far outside of my values, I hardly recognized myself. And if you saw me back then, you might not recognize me now because back then, still the same height, but I weighed about 310 pounds. Wasn't a good look, wasn't healthy. And it was just selfish. I was putting the people around me at risk. I actually told some of my best friends, I can't come around you because I'm a danger to myself and anybody around me. I was that selfish. And then my mom calls and says, and by the way, when I say she calls, I actually answer the phone because I was avoiding my parents. I mean, I was just being selfish. And so she said something that really struck gold with me. She said, every time I'm being selfish and I'm hurting myself, I'm hurting someone that she loves, and that's not cool. So that gave me some reflection, okay? And so I did. I literally looked in a mirror and I said, okay, why don't I like myself? And my answer was, because I'm not doing any of the things that I respect in anybody. Now, you would think that that might have been now we're going to do different. No, I mean, I'd love to tell you that, but no, actually what it did was I accepted that that's where I was at in life and I wasn't ready to change. So I now was able to take consequences for my actions. Crazy thing, I had a lot less guilt, I had a lot less stress, and I was still being selfish. So a few years later, I got myself back on track and started to live out my values. And then a weird thing started to happen. I started to feel more selfish then than I did before. And it took me a while to figure it out. And what happened was I had an opportunity to volunteer for an organization that I really believed in. It was an organization that really works for kids. And I wanted to, and I volunteered before, but I also had an opportunity to golf. And I chose golfing. And I was miserable. I felt so selfish. I felt like I was letting people down. I felt all the guilt. And it was about hole number 14. And I hit a good drive, and it was the very first time I did that almost the whole day. And I realized I wasn't hurting anyone. I wasn't golfing at the expense of people. I was going to be an additional volunteer. They were going to have their things taken care of, but I chose to put myself first. And it was okay. And it was okay. I gave myself permission to do that. And that is universal currency. Universal currency. We're going to talk about it all the time, and you hear me talk about it. Universal currency is anything that benefits someone. Well, I'm someone. So the personal universal currency that I was giving to myself was allowing myself to golf. And I love the game of golf. I genuinely love the game of golf. It's about the most outdoorsy that I'm going to get besides, a fire pit. And I don't mean like a fire pit in the woods. I mean a very controlled fire pit, because I'm just not outdoorsy. And Mom, Dad, wherever you are, thank you for getting me into golf instead of like swimming, because that just looks miserable. So I did something for me. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, here's your action step. Ask yourself this question. Am I a priority? The answer is yes. So if you don't answer for you, use mine. The answer is yes. Then when you want to do something for yourself, or do something that you like, or do something that you enjoy, ask yourself this question. Am I doing it at someone's expense? If the answer is no, then at least you know you're not being selfish. So one of the examples in the book is when you're with someone and, hey, you want to watch a movie. You're trying to figure out what movie to watch. You want to watch this movie. They want to watch that movie. Selfish is, we're going to watch my movie knowing they hate that genre. They hate that type of movie. That's selfish. But saying, hey, I would really like to watch the movie I chose, that's not selfish. So if you're not hurting someone, if it's not at the expense, that is the line in the sand for what is selfish. Now, what's the Wi-Fi? What's in it for you? One, you get to give yourself more universal currency. You get to show love to yourself. You get to give things to yourself. Two, you are going to have more fun. Your life is simply going to be more fun because you're doing the things you want to do. And you will have so much less guilt. You won't have the feeling of guilt. You won't be thinking about it anymore. And you are going to be giving yourself permission to live the life you want to live. So we thank you for joining us. Please hit like, please subscribe, please comment. We like all the comments, the positive, the negatives, the questions, the weird ones. We like when you ask me. We love all those. And also I want to give a shout out to one of my biggest supporters, and that is Metro Studios. And you can find them at www.metro-studios.com. And if you want to know more about the relationship coaching, you can go to evolutionei.com. But if you want to buy the book, best place to get it is firewalkerpublishing.com. So we'll see you again. Have a great one.